So there are today's pickings. There are 9 awesome corms. Let's get these into Fluval, and I'll show you how to set these up for success so that you can sprout your own Alocasia corms at home. Hi plant fam, welcome back to Shy Girl Plants. If you're brand new and just joining me, my name is Cheyenne, and I am so glad you're here because in today's video, I am actually circling back on last week's Alocasia Collection Tour and providing you with part 2 of that video. The idea behind all of that was to do the Alocasia Collection Tour and Alocasia Chores Day all in one video. However, it turns out that I can spend hours upon hours talking about my plants, which I'm sure most plant parents can relate to. And it ended up being a lot of footage and a very long video altogether. So I decided to cut that into 2 so that it's a little bit more digestible. So last week was the Alocasia Tour, which if you didn't get a chance to check that out, I will go ahead and throw that up here so you can go back and join me for that tour. And this week will be the Alocasia chores that got done. It has been a little bit of time since I originally recorded all of that content for you. So if you hadn't noticed, I did get a haircut, so I might look a little different. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw it back to my past self and let her give you the rundown and take you through all those Alocasia chores. And then I, my current self, will meet you back at the end of the video to show you some really cool growth updates I've had on some of these Alocasia in the last couple of weeks. So without further ado, let's get into this Alocasia chores video, and I'm gonna throw it back to past Cheyenne. Take it away, girlfriend. Let's get these 2 Alocasias out of Fluval stratum and into semi-hydro. So the first thing that I have is just a cup of fresh water, just tap water, and that's so I can dip these plants' roots in and kind of help get some of the Fluval off. For the little Amazonica Aria Splash, these little self-watering pot, this is a perfect size for it, so I think we're gonna go with this for that one. And then I have a bigger one, the same self-watering pot, but just a bigger size for the dragon scale. Yeah, I think that'll be great. And so these are a self-watering pot setup that I get from a local plant friend who sells them. The way that these self-watering pots work is, so this is the cash pot, the outer pot, and it has like a little meter here at the bottom so you can see the water level. And it comes with a rope to use for a wicking system. So part of this rope will sit in the cash pot in the water so that it can wick up water to the inner pot, which is where we'll plant the Alocasia in pond. And so what I do with the bigger size cups is I put both ends of this rope down into the bottom of the pot so that both ends are sticking out like that. And so that will sit in here, and then that will help wick water up to the pond. And the pond, since it is a porous substrate, will suck up water. And then the roots, which are growing in the pond, can suck up water from that. And they will take as much as they want when they want, which is great. So to set up my smaller size pot, there's only one big hole in the center of the inner pot. So I tie a knot in the string about a little above halfway. And then I will stick that one end into the hole. So that way it doesn't fall through, but then it still has the rope hanging down here, and that's gonna sit inside the cash pot, and then same thing, it'll wick it up. So that's ready to go. So let me grab my pond. So here is my DIY pond, and I made this a couple of days ago. And I put this together with you all in my DIY pond video. So if you want to learn how to put together your own pond, please go watch that video. We talk about, well, we'll mix it together, and then I give you some tips and tricks too that I've picked up over the years. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm gonna remove the little name tag, and I'm just gonna gently pull her out of the Fluval. Try to take off as much of the little Fluval pebbles. And so I have this cup of fresh water here, and what I do is just gently dip that in there, and most of the little rocks come off pretty easily. Just give her a little swishy, and then I'll just wash off the roots. It's not a bad thing if there's still some fluval left on the roots, but I just like to clean them as much as I can so that we can avoid any rot as much as possible. So that looks pretty good. So I'll just move this over here and I'll lay that down for a second. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of pon in the bottom of the inner pot, about halfway, maybe a little bit less. Then we'll place our girl in there. I could probably put a little bit more, yeah. It really just depends how much pon you put there. It just depends on the plant, how much root system it has, how big it is, how far down you want it to be. You still want it to have enough room for the roots to grow. Like, you don't want them to be sitting in water right away. You want them to be able to want to reach down and start growing toward the water, but you don't want them to have, you don't want it to be all the way down so quickly. So that's pretty good. And then you just add in a little bit more pon, and you might have to jiggle it around and move it around as you see fit. Cool. And that looks pretty good. And there you go. She is in there. Her wick is in the pot. She looks great. So next one, let's take care of our Alocasia Dragon Scale Mint. I'm excited to move this over. So same thing. Just gonna pull some of that out. I'm interested to see if any corms have started to form on this. I don't think so yet because it's so small and it's still pretty young. When I got this originally, it was just a small little, like, two leafer or 3 leaves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, 6 leaves now, so that's pretty cool. I don't see any corms though, but the roots look great. Cute, white, fuzzy, they look healthy. So I'm just gonna dip you down in there. Looks super healthy. I'm happy. I am happy with this. So I'm just gonna lay her down gently. So we're gonna use the bigger self-watering pot here that I have. So I will put some pon here. It's about where we're at. Let's see, that might be a little too much, so we'll see. And I'm just going to open her roots a little. Oops. Check. A little mushy piece came off, so I'm just gonna check if there are any more. No, I think she's pretty good. She's got some really thick, fuzzy water roots there, so that's great. I think that might be a little too much. Okay. Cool. That looks good there. So I'm just gonna try to hold her while I put some more pon in here. I don't know what to talk about as I do this. I am still getting used to talking to my camera and what do I talk about as I do stuff. I know most YouTubers will do plant chores like this and have Q&A questions to talk about, but my channel is still so new that I'm I I don't know, like, if anyone's gonna answer if I do put out a Q&A or anything like that. Eventually I hope to do that and engage more, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, oh, look at that. She's so cute. She's ready to go. Ta-da! So she's all potted. Put her in her little pot. She looks great. Look at that. Beautiful. Another one down. Okay. The next one we're gonna work on, my goodness gracious, try not to knock anything over, is our Alocasia pink black velvet. Time to harvest all these crazy corms growing in there. I have moved you down, so hopefully you have a little bit of a better view here. So let's start the process of corm hunting on Miss Pink Black Velvet. Wow, look at all those roots. This is the end of the wick, the rope wick. These are all roots that I'll have to gently get out of here and wash because there's so much algae growth here. Okay, so I'm just going to pour out the pond. Oh my gosh, that's how you know it's like packed when nothing is coming out. Let's see if I can wiggle it out a little. Wow, it is really in there, my goodness. I am just holding the major stem part there and just giving it a little shimmy. Squeeze the pot here. Oh man, this is gonna take some time. Oh my goodness. Wow, I can't believe we made it. I got that whole long stem out without, root system out without breaking it. Look at that one root, long root. I may just actually cut it because, like, look at these roots. It's solid, like literally a brick of pond. So I think I will just take this off. Yeah. Bye, thank you. Okay. So here's what we're working with. Look at all of these corms. So I'm gonna take these off. Let's see what we have. Wow, I have only taken off the corms that were poking up from the top so far, and we have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 just from the top, and I do see like some squished down in here, so I think there might even be more in here, which is wild. I can't believe it. When I got this pink black velvet, it didn't have like the most variegation on it, right? Like it's not the most variegated one, but I guess she made up for that with all the corms that she's produced, and we'll see what happens. I mean, variegation is not ever a given. It could change, like even though you have a super variegated mother plant, though the genetics are stronger and more likely to continue to produce great variegation, that's not necessarily a given. So you could still get a reverted baby that comes from it, or maybe some of the corms don't produce, highly variegated plants just like the mom. Like the genetics might be a little bit different on those corms. So I'm excited to grow these and see what happens, because it could also be the opposite. It could be that we get a super variegated baby that came from this mama, from one of those corms. So I'm excited. This root ball is so compact. It's gonna take me a little while to get all this off, so bear with me as we go through it. I don't necessarily have to break up this root ball so much. Like I could just loosen the bottom and remove the rope that is stuck in there now, and just kind of loosen up the bottom and plant this as is, upsize it as is, so that way we're not disrupting the roots too much. But I do just want to make sure I'm not missing any other major sized corms, but I'm also okay with just leaving it and seeing what sprouts and grows too. So I'll mess with it for a little bit longer, loosen up the bottom. I see a couple like this one here, but I think I'm gonna leave this one alone. And I see another one here as well, but I'm gonna leave that alone. So these, do you see this here? I'm gonna leave that one alone. I don't know if I want to mess with this too much. I do want to get the rope out though. That needs to go. I'm sorry. I am losing just a little bit of the roots because it's grown inside the wick, the rope wick that was in it. Oh, yeah. So I did lose a little bit, but that's okay. It happens. There's still so much healthy root growth here that I don't think it will disturb it too much. Okay, I think that's where I'm gonna leave her. I don't want to mess too much more with it. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if the pot that I was gonna use is gonna be big enough. I was thinking of using this self-watering pot. So it has an inner pot. It also has a meter, but I lost it, so I have to find it. But I think, So it fits in here. But I feel like I'm going to have to upsize it again pretty soon. I may put her in a DIY deli container instead. So here I have just some rinsed leca. Ooh. So that's good for me. There's the leca. And then we'll put some pon. I filled this already, but I guess I'll just use it. Like it is good for now. Oh, I have to rinse that out. Okay. So let's try this instead. Yeah, this will be good, I think. So there's actually nothing wrong with this pon. There are a little bit of little roots that kind of fell off, but that's fine. It'll just add to the nutrients. So I'm going to reuse this because I don't want to waste it. Awesome. There she is, all potted up in our DIY deli container, being cost effective and efficient. So cute. I'm so excited for this. And I'm so excited for all the corms we harvested. So let me show you. My hands are a little dusty now from the pond. Okay, so there are today's pickings. There are 9 awesome corms. Let's get these into Fluval, and I'll show you how to set these up for success so that you can sprout your own alocasia corms at home. Welcome back. I did some tidying up and moving around so that the lighting could be better because it's getting later into the night and my house is so dark. So anyway, we are going to take our pink black velvet corms and also the other corms that I had laying around and get those potted up into their little seedling trays in Fluval. So I'll show you how to do that. And then we're going to pot up the Longiloba corms that have sprouted. But before we do that, I'm going to water through all of the alocasia that we moved over to pon. And this is my oh so fabulous designer 1-gallon plastic pitcher that I got from like Ralph's, I think, or something like that. I usually use like a smaller watering can with a gooseneck, long gooseneck, so it's easier to maneuver. but that got broken by the kitty cats, so I am using my big jug. I use this to mix my water, and then I put it in my watering can so I can go around the house. But in any case, what I have in my water is tap water. It's not special. I don't have reverse osmosis. I do have a Brita, but we use it for ourselves. And honestly, this is my 4th year being a plant parent. I have almost 400 houseplants. I've grown a huge collection and beautiful plants, and I've always used tap water. So it's okay to use tap water. Your plants will be fine. If you have the means to use reverse osmosis water or zero pitcher water, filtered water, please, by all means, do that. Whatever you can do to give your plant babies the best, right? But long story short, I guess the point is, don't feel that you have to go out of your means or go out of the way in order to be a good plant parent. You can do it with what you have and what you have available to you. So I use tap water. And the only things I add in here are silica, which has been a huge help for my plants to become more resilient, I feel, and stronger. And it has definitely helped maintain the white variegation on my Musa Florida variegated banana and also my Monstera albo. It's been a year that I've been using silica. And I also feel like all of my plants across the board have become more resilient towards pests as well. So that's been a great help. I definitely vouch for silica. I then use Super Thrive Foliage Pro liquid fertilizer. I just follow the instructions on the back for a 1-gallon batch. And then the only other thing I add in there is the API tap water softener. It's used for like fish tanks, but you just add it in to soften up the water. And then I have pH balanced my water after all the nutrients are in there using the tap water. And my acidic level sits at about a 6.5, which is where I like it to be. And that's about it. Nothing else, nothing extra, no reverse osmosis. So that's what's in my water. I use it for all my plants at every watering. And then after a while, I'll probably switch up the liquid fertilizer just because I don't want my plants to get so used to it. Like to keep things interesting, but I'm happy with it. That's what I've been using for a year. So I'm gonna water them through now. And I top water all of my plants that are in pond. You don't have to do this. You could lift the inner pot out. There we go, that's at the meter. You could lift the inner pot out and just add water to the bottom, but I don't know, for me, I wanna make sure the pond is moist and that they don't dry out at the top, so I water from the top. And that's just personal preference, and you could do what works best for you. Oop. Barely made it, or make sure I didn't. Yeah, just a little overboard on that. Yay. Okay, dumped out the excess in the sink. So these are watered through. So let's move on to getting the corms situated in their new home, which will be this little seedling tray here. I got this as like, I think it was like a 10 or a 12 pack off Amazon. So basically it is an outer tray, and then you have the little seedling cells that sit inside. Then you have a humidity dome, and then it just has a little wheel on top so you can adjust the airflow. When I first set up Alocasia Corms, I keep it closed 100%, try to get it as close to 100% humidity as possible, and I put it right underneath my Barina T5 lights, so that's that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put fluval in all of these cells, and then we will put all these in there. So I have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I have 15 corms. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This has 12 cells, so I'll have to do a second tray. We'll see what I do. We'll see what I do. So let me put some fluval in here. So I just have a little cup here of fluval. I'm gonna try my best not to spill it everywhere. So there's our little cells filled with fluval, and I'm just gonna take my mister and wet these a little bit to get some water in there. Just because when it's dry, it's very loosey-goosey. So when it's moistened a little bit, it kind of stays in place a little bit more. So it makes it easier to poke a hole and then just stick the corm in. So just a little bit more manageable and easier to work with when I do it that way. And again, this is just regular tap water in here, nothing special. And I will add more water at the end because we do want the little ends of the cells to be in contact with the water at all times so that it can wick water up. So that's pretty good. And the next thing I'm going to use is this little thing. And it has a little pokey thing. And I just use this to move the fluval around and put a little hole in there that we could fit the corm into. Which is really helpful. I think you could probably order these on Amazon, and a lot of the times they come with these seedling trays. They come as a little set, so you get like a pack of like 10 of these little seedling tray things, and then they give you these little plastic tools to use, so that's convenient, and it's really helpful with this. So there we go. I made little holes, and now I'm gonna put the pink black velvet corms first. So when we're working with Alocasia corms, they do have this little like skin, I guess you could say, around the edge or around the outside. Sometimes it can be really easy to peel off like this. For the most part, you can like scratch it off. You're able to scratch this off. I don't know how well you can see it. But you want to remove this excess layer. So we want to remove as much of that layer as possible so that it's easier for the corm to sprout, for the new growth to come through, and for the roots to start to develop. And the way that you tell which side is the right side up with a corm. So these are easier to tell because they had the little tails on it. The end that was connected to the mother plant, that was connected to the stem, that is the bottom. That is where the roots are going to grow out from. And then the pointed top is where the new plant is going to sprout from. Now, sometimes they don't have these long tails and it's hard to tell which side of the corm is the top. And that's okay, because even if you can't tell and you just plant the corm is going to grow up anyway. It's going to grow towards the light. It's going to grow up. So if it was grown upside down, for example, the plant would just grow upward. And then once you sprout it and you move it over, you can always redirect it and it will adjust. That's the cool thing about plants, is that if they kind of grow funky, once you get them situated the right way, they will actually correct themselves and grow towards the light and grow upward. So yeah, you'll remove that casing from the outside. Sometimes with bigger, more mature plants, you get bigger, hardier corms, and that casing on the outside that you take off can be a little bit harder, that you'll have to actually crack it off, and that's cool too. But yeah, you don't have to remove it, but it does make it easier for the corm to sprout. So once that outer shell is off, I'm just gonna stick this down into the hole and then just push the fluval around so that it pretty much covers, so it covers it pretty good. Let me get all the pink black velvet corms in here and then I'll show you what that looks like. So that is our little seedling tray of corms, and they're just peeking out just above the fluval. This one I could probably push down more. Yeah. So just enough that the little peaks of the corm are peeking up above the fluval. On this side, I've also put in a couple of the Alocasia Frydek sprouted corms. This one sprouted, and there's that one. And then I had a big chunk from an Alocasia Ninja, so I plopped that in there as well. Then with this, we're just gonna take our humidity dome, put it on like that. I have the holes completely closed off so that it's 100% humidity. And I'm just gonna stick this under my Barina grow lights and let it do its thing. Sometimes they take a little while to sprout, sometimes it's faster. So after a couple of weeks, these should start to sprout, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So just be patient with them. And then we just want to make sure there's always water in the bottom. So I'm going to add a little bit more so that the bottom of the tray does sit in water and it continuously keeps it moist. So that's it for our little seedling. So the last thing that we'll do is move over the Longiloba green on greens. I'm going to first pot up the one that I'm keeping for myself, and then the rest will get potted up into my propagation mix. Let's start with the one that I am keeping. Forgot which one it is already. So I'm just going to take it at the base of the stem and gently wiggle it out of its little cell. And then I have a little tray of water, so I will just run it through there. And that does a really good job of taking off most of that fluval. So as you can see there, it's taken off most of it. And I will just try to get off as much of the fluval as possible. As I mentioned earlier, it's not a bad thing if it stays on there, but anything we can do to prevent rot as much as possible, right? So just gonna make sure those are good to go. So that's great. I'm just gonna set this to the side. So I have my little self-watering pot that I am using. So I'm gonna take the inner pot and put a little pond. And then we'll just water her in. That might have been too much. Oh no, that's good. So there she is, all ready to go. So I will set her off to the side too and put these all back in my plant cabinet later. So that's it for the pond one. So let me get this stuff out of the way. Hi Plant Fam, this is Editing Cheyenne here with you. It turns out I forgot to turn my microphone back on when I was editing this last section of Alocasia Chores Day. Of course, it's the last section where I forget to turn my microphone back on. But in any case, I'm just going to have to narrate the rest of this for you based off of what I remember. So I've sped up this bit as well since I don't exactly remember everything that I was talking about. But what I've done here is I'm taking each of these last Longiloba corms that have sprouted and rooted in fluval, washing off all of the fluval in a fresh tub of clean water, and then potting them up in my propagation mix, which is a mix of New Zealand tree fern fiber, cocoa chips, and perlite that has been pre-soaked in Super Thrive. I use this mix for anything that I am going to sell at an event or anything that I have propagated and now going to pot up. I also use this for all of my Hoyas that I grow in substrate rather than pond, and it works wonders, so definitely give that a try. So that's it. I've potted up, I'm going to pot up all of these Longulobas just like that, and that's about it. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. That was a lot of Alocasia chores, but they so desperately needed to get done, and I'm so glad they did. I think it's been like 2 weeks. Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks since I had filmed all that content. And in that span of time, I've had some really great growth on a lot of these alocasias. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that because I think it's fun getting to see the progress. I mean, that's why us plant parents fall in love with the hobby, right? Is because you spend time nurturing something, sometimes from a seed or from like a little corm, or from a cutting, and over time you get to watch that blossom and grow. At least for me, that's one of my favorite parts, and that's one of the most fulfilling parts of being a plant parent. So I'm going to share all that with you because it makes me so excited. So let me grab a few and I will share that with you. The first one I have to show you is the Amazonica Aria Splash that we potted up in pond. And this is my DIY pond mix that I made with you. If you didn't get a chance to check out that video or you want to know the recipe, I will throw that up here so you can check that out. But take a look at this new leaf. This is the newest one. So when we potted it, it was just this smaller leaves down here, these original leaves. And since the time we've potted it, we got this new leaf that has come in, and we also have another little growth popping out right there. Isn't that amazing? It's only been like 2 weeks, like two to three-ish weeks, and we already have this new growth, which is so exciting. And look at that color on that. So exciting. So that was super fun. What is that? Oh, I got scared. It was some kind of pest, but it was a cat hair. My goodness. So that's this one. Next one we have some new growth on is the Alocasia green on green, or Alocasia longiloba green on green. When we potted this up together, it was just this little single leaf, and it was a little seedling that was growing in the seedling trays because I had propagated corms. And since then, we have this new leaf that has some really pretty green on green variegation on it. Hopefully you can see that on there. But look at the size difference. That actually went up quite a bit from the original leaf. And we have a little sprout popping up here, which is pretty cool too. So this has been so fun to watch. I'm so excited to see it mature more in my collection. But yeah, look at this growth on this one. The next one that I had crazy upsize from is the pink poly mint. This is the new leaf that popped out, and it's huge. Like, it's as big as my head. Look at that. Crazy, right? I'm telling you, pon makes all the difference with alocasia. They upsize like crazy. Like, I wish I knew what exactly it was that makes them upsize so well and makes them grow so well. I don't know if it's just the ratio to water to oxygen. I don't know, but I love it. I swear by it. Look at that. I mean, that's crazy. And it's so pretty. Next update we have is the Alocasia Black Velvet Pink Variegated. The update here is not new leaves that have come out, but it is actually it is going through a flowering cycle, which is good. Getting flowers does mean that they're happy and that they're doing well. The only thing is they take a lot of energy from the plant to take care of these and produce these. So I'm going to cut this off because I don't care about it. But the thing that I'm most excited about with this one is the roots. So we've had a lot of root growth since potting this up in pon. So you'll see the little, if you can see like the tiny, more thin roots, those are all new roots that have grown since potting that up. Like these big chunky white fluffy roots, those are new as well. So I'm very happy with how this rooted and got acclimated into this new setup. I need some water. I need to add more. So in my DIY setup, you can see all this section is usually where I would keep the water, so I need to put some more in there. But she's doing well. She's happy. These leaves are beautiful. Can't complain. I'm happy with it. You know what I'm saying? And we do have some new growth on the Dragon Scale Albo. This is the newest leaf that has popped out. It is absolutely stunning. I am a little worried because it is a lot of white, but it does have green still on the leaf, which is great. I'm excited to see how much this one upsizes. It is not fully developed yet. It's still growing since popping out. I also have some new growth that popped out on the Dragon Scale Mint. This one is new, this new little wonky leaf. And I do see also another little sprout come in here. So this is awesome. I am really, really happy with everything since we moved things over. We moved this one over from Fluval. We moved the Amazonica Aria Splash from Fluval into pon. And I mean, if this doesn't show you how awesome pon is, then I don't know how else to convince you. So if you have been on the fence about pon and you're interested in it, but you haven't really pulled the plug, let this be your sign to give it a shot. I'm not saying go and get expensive alocasias and just throw everything in there. Maybe you could use a common alocasia or one that you have already and try it out in pon to see how it goes. And then if it works for you, then go and try it on everything else that you want to try it on. But you're not going to know unless you start. I can show you all of the things that I've done and what's worked for me, but until you try it for yourself, that's when you'll know what works for you and what doesn't. So Anyway, that's my push for Pawn. I love it. I absolutely love it. And you can see why. Let me know if there are any other updates that you're interested in seeing. I'd love to share those with you. These are just the ones off the top of my head that are right in front of my face that I know had some new growth that I was really excited about. And yeah, I hope that you had a great time doing these Alocasia chores with me, with my past self, I guess. I hope I've encouraged you to try Pawn. And I am just so grateful for you for being here and talking plants with me. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!